More and more we're seeing the digitization of manufacturing. So what are we talking about here? Well, obviously, CAD, CAM has been around for a long time, designing, computer-aided design and manufacturing. Then we saw going directly from CAD to direct machine programming. So rather than, setting up CNCs or measurement equipment, manually, it's going direct from CAD into the programming phase of that. And then, of course, in our realm in test and measurement, we've got CAD and 3D measurement data that are compared to each other, and differences are detected and then fed back into the process to automatically control them. Well, now we're going, and also virtual and virtual reality and augmented reality are also part of this whole thing. But now we're talking about digital validation. So this is where you take your complete digital model of something, and let's say an autonomous vehicle, for instance. We'll talk about that in a bit. And then you kind of digitally tickle all its inputs and outputs and sensors and so forth, but not in reality. You do it within the computer. Since everything is designed and exists in a digital model, you can do all these simulations. What happens if this sensor goes off? Well, do the brakes go on, for instance, and that sort of thing. And it's all done within the body of the software. Now, what we aren't quite to yet is where we can do away with physical testing. I mean, it's interesting, we have all this capability within the digital realm, but we're still hesitant to let go of the physical testing. And one of the reasons we're seeing this, he mentions it in his article, Virtual Validation on the Rise, but Physical Testing Remains Crucial. Reporter Terry Koslow writes that 5 years ago, many observers predicted that validation, verification would all but replace physical testing. But within the automotive industry, there's some changes going on that are kind of maybe putting the brakes on that. And one of the reasons is, let's say, autonomous vehicles. Autonomous vehicles you think would be ideal for this, but they aren't, because part of one of the big things with autonomous vehicles is the need to do safety checks. And there's still this sense that, from the safety aspect of it, and I'm reading into this a little bit, but we don't want to trust necessarily what the software is telling us. There's still a lot to be said about having a driver in a test vehicle going out doing real world simulations to see how the car actually responds, not just trusting that the software will say, oh, if this happens, this happens, this happens, then this will be the car's response. There's still a need for this real world testing. But along with that then, aside from how much virtual, how much physical testing we do, measurement techniques may also have to evolve, says Koslow. Most companies, when we're talking about vehicles, still use driving miles as their metric, even for tests conducted on virtual vehicles. So some of you car aficionados probably knows, when a new car comes out, that car is handed over to maybe Motor Trend and Car and Driver and various other, let's say then, testing organizations, as well as they will give the car maybe out to employees and stuff, and everybody is going to do a certain amount of driving. They're going to keep track of what did they like, what they didn't like, anything that they noticed. Well, this amounts to maybe hundreds of thousands or millions of miles in real world drive testing.
Crowdsourcing.
Kind of crowdsourcing the testing.
Crowdsourced driving, yeah.
But the thing with that is that with a traditional vehicle, a lot of what's going on is going on in the human brain. So all they're really testing is maybe comfort, fit, maybe any anomalies they noticed, when they're driving. Does it brake weird? Does it steer weird? That sort of stuff.
Butt feel.
Butt feel. There is the butt feel, exactly. Is it comfortable?
Yeah, there you go.
So they're saying when it comes to autonomous cars, you probably still need a certain amount of that, but you also, within the software realm, may need to say, we need to do this many testing of scenarios. How many different real-world scenarios can we put into the software and run it through kind of virtual safety checks, as well as the safety checks that you're going to get with real-world driving. So even though all of this stuff is digital now, and it is conceivable that you could test everything in software, you're not going to see that go anywhere. And I think mostly because of safety concerns. There's still that feeling that I want a human to tell me how well this thing is doing.
Yeah, and some of it I wonder about, because vehicles, cars are so ubiquitous, and autonomous vehicles are such a pseudo-controversial transition.
Right. Yeah.
I wonder how much of this is also CYA.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly,
it's not really so much about the testing as it is about the fact that, oh no, this was tested by a actual human being.
Or even just to make people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
It's like, human beings really tested our autonomous vehicles rather than what you just did all this testing in the computer and then you put it on the shop on the floor for me to buy.
Yeah.
I think it's a certain amount of comfort level.
Absolutely, great.